Now, our last guest tonight has been worth waiting for. Wherever people gather to smoke cigarettes and talk about television, his name comes up as a master of the medium. Copied by hundreds, mimicked by the thousand. He's been at the top of his television tree for nearly 38 years. Many of us can't imagine our younger years without him, me, for a start. He's the first man to get out and about and tell us all about it straight. The man travelled the world before anyone else got there. And this is how we saw him first.
Hello.
Yes, Alan Whicker. You're a man that most of the people in that studio audience would have thought they'd probably never see. You're a legend. You're a legend.
I wish it were true. I wish it were true.
Now, I must ask you a question I've always wanted to ask you. Have you ever woken up one morning, or indeed waked up one morning, or woken up and said to yourself, oh my God, I have to go to Burma? You said to yourself, I have to go somewhere.
No, I'd never say that. I'd say, oh boy, I'm going to Burma. Yeah.
Right. You never say, oh no, another day I have to go to another country.
No, because, you know, one wants to travel every day. You know, the idea, if I've been in one place for, I don't know, a few days, I'm ready to get up and go. I think I'm set in my airways. You know.
Yeah. You're the best man I've ever seen on television. You can do a thing that people don't realize that you can do. You can stand, for instance, you did a marvelous thing on the program about the Orient Express. You walked the whole length of the train and you did the build-up at the start. It was like 4.5 minutes. You walked the whole length and you talked about what you're going to do. Now, people don't seem to realize that people just don't do that. You did the whole thing in 4.5 minutes and you did it first time. And then somebody said, he couldn't possibly have done it first time, then they did it again, but they used the first one. Now, nobody else can do that. But nobody, I bet you people here don't realize that you do that. It's only people in the business kind of realize how good you are at that.
Well,
is it a thing you cultivated?
No, it's not really. It's, I mean, one talks to the camera as naturally as one talks to you, you know, as one talks to somebody you meet in the street. But on a program like that, on the Orient Express, I had to do much more to camera because there was a limited number of people I could talk to. Normally, the reason why Whicker's World's lasted for nearly 40 years is no merit on my part. It's because people are fascinating, and I show people, and I talk to people, so it's always to their credit. That's why it can go on forever, and it has gone on forever.
Are you attracted to bizarre people, rich people, eccentric people? What kind of people do you look forward to interviewing?
I think anybody. I mean, somebody said in Whicker's World everybody's a star. You know, and I'd like to think that's true. So whether it's a chap who's cleaning a statue, or looking after a lavatory, or the Sultan of Brunei, you know, I mean, it doesn't matter if they've got a spark, if there's something of interest within them. And I think there's something of interest within everybody one meets. I think you could stop anyone in the street, and you could do a Whicker's World on them, really.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, is there anyone that you can think of that you were terribly, terribly surprised to find that there was another kind of person in there that you didn't think was there? Somebody who actually completely almost changed their response when you talked to them?
I think you're surprised all the time. You know, I just talked about Sultan of Brunei. I mean, trying to interview him was like interviewing God, you know, because, I mean, not only was he the head of the government, he was the king, he was the head of religion, he ran the country in every possible way, and he'd never answered a question in his life. You know? I mean, nobody would dare ask him anything.
He wasn't used to it. But I mean, you've been around a long time. You were a war correspondent in Korea.
Yes.
Was that your first taste of that kind of journalism? That kind of...
Yes, I suppose it was. Yes, it was the thing that put me off sleeping in ditches, really, because I did that for 18 nights once without changing my clothes, and I thought from then on I'm going to try and live a little more comfortably.
One of the things I like about you, what you once mentioned, just talking about clothes reminded you of that. You said you should always wear a blazer and a pair of slacks because you can go anywhere in that. You can go to a dinner dance, you can go to a ball, or you can go into a mud hut. And the other thing I liked about you was the thing that you said you must never do when you go to a country, never ever try to speak the language.
Absolutely.
Because you stand back, if there's any trouble, you're standing about it, you say, "Get back, let me through."
Absolutely.
And if you try to speak the language, they'll kill you.
I went to try and do a program on Papa Doc in Haiti, then the president of Haiti, Papa Doc Duvalier, you know, and one was surrounded by the Tonton Macoute, and the Tonton Macoute were licensed to kill.
Yeah.
And they were not Wicker's World fans at all, you know. Whereas Papa Doc, in fact, had seen some of the programmes, so he was much more sympathetic to me. Once we got to him, we were all right. And everyone said, once you're seen with Papa Doc, you won't be killed. The Tonton Macoute won't shoot you. So it was a very good reason to try and get as close to him as possible. And then, of course, with the Tonton, if I'd tried to speak Creole or tried to speak French with them, I'd have had a hard time. But instead, one was absolutely and saying, do you mind standing back? British television, 1 minute, please, on the side, do you mind? And they didn't quite know what was happening. And by the time they knew what was happening, one was up with Papa Doc. And then you could start. And then we got a relationship with him. And he began to enjoy being filmed. And in fact, he took me out round Port-au-Prince, round his capital, and he would drive in this bulletproof Mercedes, and he would get a crowd by throwing money out of the windows. And it's very effective, you know.
You could probably do that here.
I think John Major could learn a trick or two. I mean, all you have to do, you are soon surrounded by enthusiastic people. You know. But Papa Doc, I mean, was an evil, malevolent man, but he was also a poet. And I say that, you know, nobody's all good or all bad, really. This guy had a good side.
You get away with murder too, you know. You can get things out of people by asking them seemingly innocuous questions.
Look who's talking.
Now, you can ask somebody something terrible things, and they always answer you. Whereas if I asked them, they'd tell me to mind my own business.
No, they wouldn't do. They wouldn't of you because you've got a very good manner. I think you can, in fact, ask anybody anything if you do it pleasantly and if you do it with a smile. Mm-hmm. And it's very hard to hit a man when he's smiling at you, you know?
Yeah, right. Is there anything that you haven't done? Is there anywhere you haven't been to you'd like to go to?
At the moment, I'm going back to places, you know, the places I've been to many times before. Mm. No, I think not. I mean, things change all the time. I went to India to do a series on India because I really wanted to see Kashmir. And I was in India for 3 months, and I filmed in Jaipur and Kerala and Bombay and Delhi and everywhere. The one place I didn't go to was Kashmir. Now, of course, there's a sort of war there, and you can't get near it. You know? So things change all the time.
A lot of people who've travelled for a long number of years, which, you know, I'm not implying you're an old man, but you have. A lot of people are almost resentful that anyone can go anywhere now. I mean, when you started out, for instance, you went to Hong Kong, what was it, 57, 58, 59?
I started in 57, yes.
There wouldn't be a lot of busloads of tourists coming from Blackpool.
Absolutely not, absolutely.
So, did you ever feel in the sense that that was yours, and then when the hoi polloi came, they ruined it?
No, I don't really.
I don't mean that you're a snobbish person, but do you ever get a sense of that?
No, I mean, it makes my job more difficult, you know, because...
In what way?
Well, because, A, not only have I been almost everywhere, but lots of other people have also been everywhere as well, you know. And also, as you say, the planes fly in from Luton all the time. I mean, when I started, I could do a whole Wicker's World on the way from the airport in Singapore. Now, you arrive in Singapore airport, and there are 50 jumbos disgorging people who've come from Luton and London and seeing all those wonderful things. That, I think, we've done a good thing. I mean, that's television, I think. We've opened this window on the world for people, and we've encouraged people, and we've shown people that it's marvellous, it can be marvellous, mm-hmm. and also that people are marvellous, really. That's another important thing. I think as you go around the world, whether you meet a Peruvian or an Ecuadorian or an Afghanistan or but people are nice. People are great. I've never had any bad times, really. Nobody's given me any bad times.
That's because they like you.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But once again, you don't hit a man who's smiling at you.
True. But, I mean, you have been involved in controversy before. As a matter of fact, in this country, you did a report before the pot boiled over here around in the early 60s, well, 66, I think it was.
Yes.
Which was kind of, nobody showed that. Did you feel very strongly about that at the time?
The last time I was here was in 61, and I was then filming for a program called Tonight, and I did 8 programs here. Right. I filmed 8. And the first one went out, and there was such uproar after it that the BBC then didn't show the remaining 7. They were never seen. They were, and all one had done was to arrive in a place and state the obvious. Yes. But there are certain things that in those days one couldn't say whether they were true or not. Yeah. So, no, I wasn't happy about that. Of course you're not happy.
Yeah, well, things have changed a lot here since then.
Of course.
You keep running away from the BBC.
Yes, with the BBC for 12 years, I go to ITV, I'm back to the BBC again, I'm back to ITV again, you know. But I'm just a hired gun, you know.
Is there any program that you would like to have made that you haven't made yet?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, I used to say Howard Hughes, you know, but look what he did. I mean, he went and died. No, there's nothing that I've got to do, but there are lots of things I've got a file this thick of things that I would like to do and I would enjoy doing.
But there's other people involved in your patch now. People like Michael Palin are kind of, I mean, if you consider your patch as the world, I mean, it's not fair to say they're doing all these type of programs. Do you ever kind of go, I should have done that?
Well, I mean, you know, I was offered Around the World in 80 Days and I refused it. Ooh. And Michael Palin did it. So was I ever wrong?
What about a Whicker's Ireland? Do you think it's ready for
I'd
that?
love to do that, I must say. I mean, now I've finally got back here, and I'm going to have a look around now, tomorrow and for the start of next week. I'm dying to see. Because I have a feeling that since 1961, a few things might have changed around.
Yeah. Alan, it's been a pleasure, and it's great that you've been our last guest, because you're the man I wanted to talk to.
Gerry, I'm so sad that I'm the last guest on the last program of the last series. There's not a dry eye in the house.
Alan Whicker, thank you very much, Alan. Thank you. Right, before we go, we have to tell you that you're phoning in, and 90% of you say that Samantha Fox should record that, and it should be her next single. 90% of you. Thank you for phoning in. Well, that's it, in more ways than one. Thank you for watching over those last 3 years. Alas, we are gone to that great talk show, Heaven in the Sky, wherever people are going to go. Look after yourselves, stay healthy, and above all, keep the peace. Good night.